Welcome to the City Council Finance Committee. Today is Tuesday, September 14. We have Councilor Conniff and Councilor Gomez. We don't have any minutes to approve. And then is mayor's communication. Anything from the mayor?
No.
No. Public speak time. Is anyone here that want to say something that is not part of the agenda? Seeing none, let's start business. For the new business, we have to correct the budget for $1, and I think that's pretty simple, but I will let Jen to explain what happened.
And you have 12 seconds, Jen. Like, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this.
Gotcha. Yeah, over that dollar. Essentially, I think I explained in the past that there's a formula that we use to calculate what we appropriate to the library. And the appropriation 3 years ago was short $1 or rounded the wrong way, I guess I would say. So they're splitting hairs with it. It's, you know, we have to use the higher amount, which rounds my cents up. So we owe them $1.
Yep. And it's pretty simple, but I just make the question just to let people know why we're moving $1 to the constituents. I don't have any questions. Peg, do you have any?
No.
No. So I will make a motion to transfer from reserve fund $1 to the library.
A second.
So we have a second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Conniff?
Aye.
And I say aye. Pass. Pass. Second, in our business, we have a supplemental application for $245,000 with $412 for stabilization fund for reservation road state land grant reimbursement. Sorry. I had a conversation with Jeff this morning, and I'm gonna let Jeff to explain why we need to do this appropriation.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Gomez. So the idea is that there's two supplemental appropriation requests that are related to the same property. For at least 6 months, we have been trying to assess and determine if we could potentially acquire 5.5 acres at the top of Reservation Road. And, you know, Donald Carbow is with us tonight, and he's a neighbor and has been very helpful in getting us oriented. And, you know, we have partners in this project with Pascoma Conservation Trust and Kestrel. But what we're trying to do is apply for a land grant. So this is a program that supports communities trying to acquire, you know, land that's important for habitat protection or open space or recreation. And, you know, through the research, we really found that the property is a good candidate for that. So we made an application on July 14th to apply for funding for the project. And in totality, the property that we are looking to acquire would cost $350,000 with some contingency funds for due diligence. So we may need a survey, we may need some attorney's fees and things like that. So the total cost is $367,000. And what we're able to do with the land grant program, if we do not know if we're getting the grant yet, but we're eligible for $245,000 from the grant, and the remainder would come from CPA. And so as part of the lead up to this, we already went to CPA, and CPA, you know, unanimously approved allocating I'm just going to use general dollar figures, but $122,000, and that's the city's portion. So what we have to do with these grants is we have to get a vote from the city in advance. We don't know if we got the grant, but we have to show the funds have been allocated. And I'm almost done. And the $245,000 is reimbursable. So if we're successful with getting the grant, we will acquire the property and then we'll submit for reimbursement, and that $245,000 comes right back to the city. So our out-of-pocket costs would be $122,000. all of this is to say that if we do not get the grant, the funds are not automatically spent. So if we don't get the grant, we'll probably have to have some additional conversations and recalibrate and maybe start the process over again. So that's the assurance here, is that the money will not be spent unless we get the grant. And then if we get the grant, the total that we'll be spending out of CPA is 122,000 approximately. So I know there's a number there. I don't have it in front of me. Donald, if I don't know, counselors, if you want to hear from Donald, I do have, the hopes that we will have a couple of people who will come to the public hearing next week and speak in favor of the project. Donald was the key person who formulated a petition when this matter was before the planning board 6 months ago. And in a short period of time, Donald was able to gather 1,200 signatures of people who supported the acquisition of this land. So it was a lot of community support for this.
Councilor Coniff.
I actually would like to hear from Donald if we could. I don't have necessarily a particular question other than why is this so important to you, Donald?
Well, first of all, thank you, Jeff, for inviting me to be part of this meeting, and thank you, Finance Committee, for having me here. I really do appreciate the opportunity. It's just a wonderful thing for me to be a part of. The land I've been following since about 2005, for about 20 years, when I became a resident of the city. And all of us residents actually on Reservation Road assumed that this parcel of land was part of the state reservation. And we purchased with that understanding. And when we discovered that it wasn't, and that it was private property, it was very concerning to those of us, especially who are vulnerable. It's important to understand this land is on the side of Mount Tom. It's not at the base of the mountain. It's up probably 120 feet above the end of Chapin Street. I don't know if you know that area, but it's a beautiful area that our residents use to walk. There's a path through it. Some might call it a road that goes up into the Mount Tom trails. I'm on it about every day. My neighbors are on it about every day. And there are a lot of people on that pathway into Mount Tom every day. Over the past 20 years, this property's been off and on the market for a variety of costs and prices. And now and developers have been wandering around up there, and my neighbors are concerned about just the difficulty of trying to develop that land, and I share their concern. There's a lot of support. Jeff mentioned 1,200. The petition's now up over 1,600, and people are really would like to see this parcel added to the city. It's going to be better in the Commonwealth than it would be in private hands, we believe. I've been a part of this long enough that I even talked to the current owners when they were living on this parcel and introduced the idea to them of having a cooperative arrangement with Pascomic Kestrel in the city and even the state. I've talked to the land acquisition people. This was a long time ago about this. So anyway, I'm sorry if I'm speaking too long. I do want you to know that there is a lot of public support. I'm sure you're aware of this already. It's a very nice parcel of land that just would fit beautifully as a segue between the city and Mount Tom, which many of us love to death. Pascomic, Kestrel, and the city together provide a great partnership, I think, for this to become a part of the city's NRL and our Commonwealth. And if I may, I'd like to also thank the mayor who was kind enough to visit this property several years ago now. But my concern's longstanding, and not only mine, but everybody on Reservation Road. I didn't go down the street knocking on doors. When people found out about it, they came knocking on mine. So I'm happy to have this support and to pass that. That's my 2 bits for now, but I'm happy to questions, if there are any further, please let me know.
That was really helpful, Donald. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. Anyone else? No? So I'm gonna do exactly what Councilor Coniff said all the time at the full city council, because I'm the chairman, so I can do, I
Have
can say
at it.
whatever. I just wanna ask if you can explain it in the simple way that our constituents understand why we need to buy this. In other words, it's going to be a lot of people in the community is going to say, why are we going to spend so much money buying this property? Why? Well, we can use this money for something else. And I understand CPA money is just have some restrictions that I think is perfect for this, right? And I think buying this property is what we should do. And I'm more than happy to say yes for this, but in a simple way to our constituents why this is important.
I don't know if that was directed at me. I'll take a first stab at it. I think there's a couple different parts to it, but we just completed our update to our open space and recreation plan. So that is our document that is supposed to guide our decision-making process on a lot of this stuff. And the area adjacent to Mount Tom was ranked the top priority for the city to aim its protection efforts at. And this parcel is one that it's a key parcel where it provides access. It provides protection of habitat for rare species, and it's really indicative of our efforts, kind of in a focused way, to follow the acquisition further down East Street. This area is our most sensitive areas, and so that's really the driver. And then the thing that we're really keen on doing is trying to leverage the CPA dollars to get a larger state grant. So at the current this proposal is to leverage CPA dollars for the state grant, which those are all things that are leading us here. We do hope that this will actually allow us to continue to have other discussions with other property owners in this same area, and it's a way for us to demonstrate that we're trying to take that seriously, and we are also meeting property owners where they need to be to meet market value too. So I hope that's enough to use in addition to the public support that we kind of already mentioned.
Thank you. Councilor Coniff?
Jeff, you may have said this. Is the total land about 5-6 acres? Is that what it is?
It's
Yep.
5.5?
5.5.
Okay. Okay. And it sits in the, I didn't see a map on here, and I know there's a link that we can go see a map, but it sits in an area that is already conservation area. Does it abut up to like an area that is already open space conservation? And this would just make that area bigger. It's not like we're making, I'm just trying to understand spatially what it's going to look like. Is that a true fact?
Yes and no. So, this property is the last parcel. It's adjacent to Mount Tom, so it's totally adjacent to protected open space.
Mhm.
It is this keystone property where the ones next to it that also have trails are not protected, and so it will drive us to kind of continue to look at this area to make sure that we have protection over here for the existing trails. I was going to try to see. I have to pack it up.
Do the landowners on either side of this? So is the area, and maybe the map will help. So the area, the keystone area that you're talking about, will that allow access for the public or crossing through, but there's land next to it that is privately owned?
Yeah.
And you'll be talking to those folks as well. And what are their feelings about this?
Yeah, I guess I'll defer to Donald first, if that's okay, because I have not spoken to the neighbors in person, but
Okay.
if you want, Mr. Carwell could probably speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, let's go.
If I may, the
Yes.
neighbor immediately by the gate are Jason and Cheryl. They wrote a letter in support of, in strong support, a detailed letter in strong support of this acquisition. They happen to be landscapers by profession, and they are very concerned that the land be properly cared for, and in detail wrote that. The land immediately below the first part of the parcel is Damian Olber's home, He's been very concerned and also wrote a detailed letter because he's immediately below this and he's already had rocks and stones roll down into his yard, and he's worried about runoff and all kinds of other things if this were to become a private development as was proposed through the subdivision. So those are that's much of the surrounding area. The only piece I cannot address is the owners of the parcel at the end of Chapin. I don't know personally and haven't talked to personally, so I can't speak to that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mayor, you want to add something?
I would just, yeah, I think it was back in 2018 that Donald and I took a walk up and then walked up and took a quick right hook and went to, I think, a well or a reservoir maybe. It's beautiful land. I can't imagine putting houses there, not just because I wouldn't want to see something on the vista of Mount Tom, but when you look at the material, I mean, somebody who is not at all knowledgeable about building materials or topography, I mean, we would be blasting, or development would be blasting into the side of a mountain, and, you know, gosh knows who or what it would loosen up. So I do think that preserving the vista of Mount Tom is crucially important. And this opportunity comes at a great time because just down East Street, we have the East Street parcel that we bought from the Savoy and Campbell family. So it's pretty neat to kind of see the book end of it. But I will attest that Donald has been very persistent and passionate about this piece of land since the day I met him. So happy this could happen. I hope there's a positive report out.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Conniff.
Yeah, I just, while the mayor was speaking, I was thinking back to 6 years ago when I first ran for city council. And one of the questions I got in an open forum was around maintaining the vistas of Mount Tom and not overly developing the mountain, and what were my thoughts on that. And my thoughts then and my thoughts now are that is our legacy. That space is what makes Easthampton, Easthampton. And I agree that once you start developing it with all of the potential that it makes somebody rich, but it would make a lot more people poorer. And I think this is exactly what we need to be doing when we can do it. And I frankly think the price is kind of okay, given what we're getting out of it. So yeah, I don't have any more questions. I think it's a great job by everybody involved. Love the passion, Donald. Thank you so much for spearheading this, but I'm all in on this one.
Thank you.
Did I tip my hand? I'm sorry.
No, but by the way, I'm in too. I think this is a great idea, and I think we should do more of this in our city. I just have a question for you, Jeff. I find out I have the motion, so we don't have to do it tonight, pretty much, but we have to do it for Wednesday. You want to send it to me later?
Yeah, I was speaking with Barbara earlier, and I actually I did look at the motion. Barbara was concerned that the motion references borrowing, but the motion actually says to seek. I should pull it up.
Seek, raise, and borrow.
But yeah, that's for the official full city council vote.
And that's what
tonight's vote is just basically
exactly.
You want to recommend.
And that's what I'm asking. Like, if we can get the exact language for the next meeting, that will be good.
Yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. We're seeking an appropriation for it. The one last thing I want to make sure we don't lose this is that there's three things. So there's two funding, and then is it okay, Councilor Gomez, to talk about the third part? Because I think it's pretty quick. But what we're trying to do with these patterns is we're trying to do this in partnership with the owners, and the proper way for us to do that is to enter into this option to purchase agreement with them. So, we did work with the city attorney, drafted that, and it went to the owner's attorney, and all the parties were agreeable. And just before we submitted the grant, the owner signed their half. And I really was pushing for that because I felt it was important for the state officials to know that the owner was on board. Because I think anybody can submit the grant, but we had the commitment of the owner. So now the requests, the method is that city council has to vote to authorize the mayor to enter into that agreement. And so we're seeking that vote also next Wednesday. And I think Councilor Rist just kind of suggested it get consolidated to finance because we're already talking about it. So I don't know if there are any questions about that. I know this is the second or third time that I brought one of these to the council, and there's a lot of components to that agreement, but I think the important part is the city attorney already reviewed it and drafted it, and we have the owner's signature. So we are seeking that vote to authorize the mayor to execute that too.
Yes, I want to add to that I do call Councilor Sarrett and Councilor Peak, and I talked to both just to find out if they have any questions, because I know the full city council, they talk a little bit about, instead of sending this to the finance committee, send it to property. And I called the chairman of property, and he said that he don't have any question. And Councilor Peak said that he was okay with the agreement. So they don't have any question.
Do you want me to make some motions?
Yes. Do you want to include all of them at the same time, or?
No, let's do three separate ones.
Oh, all right, let's do that.
Okay, I make a motion to recommend to the full city council the approval of $121,588 from, to be appropriated from CPA to Reservation Road acquisition to include closing costs and due diligence.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Conniff?
Aye.
Councilor Gomez, say aye.
Motion to approve, to recommend to the full council the supplemental appropriation of $245,412 that the amount requested will be used for the following purpose: for the acquisition of 5.5 acres for open space on Reservation Road, including closing costs and due diligence.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Conniff?
Aye.
And I say aye. Motion passed.
And this is not, Jeff, this is not the official motion, obviously, for this next one, but again, the Finance Committee will recommend to the full council to authorize the mayor to enter into an option agreement associated with the potential acquisition of 5.5 acres on Reservation Road. That was in the form of a motion. I don't know if I said that.
Yeah, second. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Councilor Conniff?
Aye.
And I say aye. So we pass all three. So that was good.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Donald. That was really,
you,
really
Jeff.
helpful to have you here.
Thank you, Donald.
And Jamie was here too, so just in case there was any CPA question.
Hi,
Thank you,
Jamie. Thanks, Jamie. Your hair looks great, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Donald.
Donald.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks. The next item that we have in our agenda is about the supplemental appropriation of $230,000 from cannabis stabilization funds toward Main Street repaving and drainage project. We have the DPW director here, Greg Netterman, and he will tell us why we need that much money.
Hi, everyone. How you doing tonight? So we're working on the project. Actually, is just starting to get going here this week. We're working on paving Main Street from South Street to Park Street, or by the Wilson Library. And when we started looking at resurfacing Main Street, we discovered that we had a lot of trouble with catch basin drainage structures that were in disrepair from the amount of salt that's required to treat Main Street during the winter months. So we took a harder look at it, determined that 29 of them needed to be replaced, which certainly increased the cost of the project. And with that, we put the project out to bid, and we carried the section from Glendale to Park Street as an ad alternate for the contractor. The pricing came in to do both at about just over just $1,003,350, I believe. And of that, we had 930,000 available in Chapter 90 funding that we could put towards the work. And Mayor and I discussed, and she was okay with putting this appropriation forward. Now, this appropriation will cover the shortfall there of about $73,000 or $75,000. It will also pay for the police details that are involved in the construction work, and construction oversight, as well as survey of the Main and South Street intersection. That's going to be more of a topic for our next the Public Safety Committee meeting later on. But so this appropriation is also covering, some work associated with taking a good look at that intersection and how we can make that safer going forward.
So this construction, it will start from Park to South?
Yeah, where Park Street comes into right by Center Pepin School, there by the Williston Library.
Okay.
All the way to South Street to where the state highway layout begins.
Yes, and the funds from Chapter 90, we're gonna use all the funds for Chapter 90 for.
Yeah, we're using all of our available FY21 and all of our available FY22 Chapter 90 funding.
Wow.
Both
Okay.
funding years together.
All right. I don't have any other. Yeah.
How long will this take, Greg?
Well, the weather has not cooperated this summer as far as road paving goes. So Warner Brothers is sounds like they're a little behind with what they have signed on to do for us. The contract calls for them to be finished by, I believe it's November 5th or November 12th is the date that they're supposed to have the work 100% done. But they have already begun asking if we can put some temporary blacktop in for the winter and do the final paving in the spring. It really isn't the worst idea, because it does give some time for the material and the new basins to settle in. So if there's some low spots or things we need to look at in the spring before we put the final paving on, give time for things to settle. So I'd like to see it done by November, but if it's not, there is kind of a silver lining to that.
And I noted when I was driving down the street this past weekend, there were two very large cement
Yep, those are
looking things.
Yep,
Are those
those are
going to be
precast.
buried? Is that a whole part of it?
Yes, so those are precast concrete drainage structures. Historically, drainage structures were built with like mortar and cement block or brick, and now they're precast concrete. They hold up a lot better to the salt instead of we don't hardly use much block at all anymore when we're putting catch basins in. So that was one of the nice things about this project, is we're going to have some infrastructure that's going to last for generations, I hope. So.
And that's going to require some excavation?
Yep.
In the road or next to the road?
Pretty much on the edge of the road.
Okay.
The foreman from Baltazar, they're the subcontractor for Warner Brothers. They're saying that they're thinking if the weather kind of stays okay, they should be done within the next 2 weeks, at least with the drainage work. So.
Okay.
Which would be good. So then, if they can get in and out of there in 2 weeks, maybe Warner Brothers will be able to get us in and get the paving, the milling and paving done. But
Okay.
the aprons down all the side streets, gonna be some new street signs, rectangular rapid flashing beacons at Main and Glendale. So
Nice.
pedestrian safety improvements there. And, Jeff and I took a good look at what we can, or did what we could to look at Main and South Street. And, without having survey work, without having a complete survey of that intersection, we couldn't build a whole lot into this project right now, but we're getting the survey, and, that plus looking at what goes on with traffic counts for the new school, we'll be able to have moving in a better direction, I think, for the next year or so.
Great. Thank you.
So now going again for the constituents, and it's going to be a lot of constituents asking why, how long this is going to be last long, right? We're going to pave it now, and for how many years this road is going to be good, or we expect that it's going to be good.
I'd like to think 2025. I mean, we'll keep an eye on it, seal coat it as needed, crack seal it, and just try to keep it in good repair. Sometimes it may look like we're doing work on a road that's not in poor shape, but what we're is putting in either a fog seal or something to keep the water out of the small cracks so the road doesn't start blowing apart. So this will be a road we keep a good eye on going forward to try to really get the value out of it for the city.
And just to be annoying, as we talk about Union Street and that whole party that's gonna happen at some point. Is the extent, like, will Union Street get paved up to Biggie's, or will it extend into Main Street to that area, right? It, you know, that four-way intersection thing.
So the work for Union Street will stop at High Street, basically right at Big E's.
Okay,
And then we're looking at Main Street for, I believe it's on the tip with MassDOT for, I think it's 2028. So
and that's like from the intersection, does that go around the,
yes,
traffic
all the way
circle?
around around the park and down a little bit down Northampton Street. So
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nicole?
That I mean, Greg came up with this idea of using, you know, a lot of Chapter 90 money, and I was like, but then I look at, you know, what the needs are along Main Street and the really increased traffic of trucks, folks coming in and out of the city for different events, for cannabis. The condition of the road wasn't great, and it was just deteriorating really quickly. And with the news that we could be on the 2028 tip for a $13 million project that would start at the West Street Bridge, the side that's close to downtown, up that hill, and the faux rotary. It just made a lot of sense to put our dollars there when we have Union Street. And then hopefully this project going down to South Street. It kind of brings a lot together. The traffic counts up in that area are, as you can imagine, going up and up, and the road is old. So I applaud Director Nuttleman for his thinking of it and pulling in planning and working across and outside the box on why this particular project is money well spent. So I'm very much in support of this. And, you know, related, not related, we are moving forward as quickly and as we can on the letter that told us we could be on the tip in 2028.
Nice.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Khan, if anything else?
No.
No, want to make the motion?
Motion to recommend to the full council to approve appropriation of $230,000 from cannabis stabilization to the Main Street Capital Project to fund police details, construction oversight, and survey, as well as the shortfall between the contracted amount and the available Chapter 90 funding for FY22 Main Street paving and grading project.
Second, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Councilor Coniff,
Aye.
and I say aye, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. And
Yeah, thank you.
See you soon.
Yep.
So I don't have anything else in our agenda. We went through all the,
Can we set the
business?
next meeting temporarily
yes,
for Mayor?
Hi,
Did you not want me to finish my sentence?
I did not.
Okay.
Under continuing business, the report on COVID-19 grant funding and spending. So I just wanted, you know, to say, one, FEMA owes us over $1 million in reimbursement, and we have not gotten any of that, nor have any of our sister towns and cities. So I wanted to update, if anybody knows anybody at FEMA, tell them to give us our reimbursement. Also, we have received the first allocation of local local ARPA money. It's about $828,000. I've gotten a couple of emails that I will
I'm
respond
sorry,
to.
can you repeat the amount?
828,000.
Thank you.
So we have not gotten our first allocation of what's called the non-functional county money. So our county we don't have county government. So what they do is they take the money that was supposed to go to a county, it doesn't exist, and they break it up among all the cities and towns in that county. So we haven't gotten the first half of that money yet. It's about $3 million. The total is about $4.7 million of local and county money, just to make it clear. We still expect money from the state because the state got $5 billion from the federal government to allocate to cities and towns. So I don't really have an update on that. I did want to say Jen has been doing an amazing job with FEMA and CARES and keeping that straight. We did bring on some extra help like we've done in other departments because Jen still has a job to do. It has nothing to do with COVID and it has all the same timelines. But the other big thing is that we've put together, I mean, I've brought on a consultant for my office, super qualified gentleman to analyze all of the money that we have, including, you know, cannabis when it's cannabis when it's certified free cash, ARPA dollars, and even if we end up with extra care money act, like, I don't know, we're supposed to, I'm not holding my breath, to where we can best spend those dollars. And the rubric that I am using to prioritize and connect, there are 6 buckets of ARPA money where you can spend it. We're going back to the plans that were heavily influenced and were collaborative with the public, starting with the master plan, housing production, downtown strategy, downtown strategy, housing, I know I'm missing some, housing production, open space, and the art visioning. So there were a lot of priorities that intersected there. As you can imagine, one of them was housing and rentals. So the consultant will be putting together kind of a spreadsheet. Stormwater is another one, taking a look at and figuring out where we can spend money where. So something another city might spend ARPA money for, it might be related enough to cannabis, to use cannabis dollars so we have more ARPA dollars. I do plan to do a small allocation of ARPA funds to community engagement activities for youth, as well as disproportionately represented populations in Easthampton. I'm preparing that. We're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's to make sure it fits into all the categories. So I just wanted to give an update on that money. It's, you know, it seems like a lot of money, $4.7 million. I mean, it's great, but you know, just for example, we have $20 million to spend in the next 4 years to be compliant with federal regulations around our stormwater or our wastewater. So, you know, it's a dent. Any dollar is a good dollar. But yeah, so we're moving forward with that, and obviously we'll keep this body informed. And the chart will also have that connection to the public collaborative document or plan. So, you know, it's like, this was a priority in the housing development, you know, the housing plan, and, you know, this is the ARPA bucket it fits in, and this is the amount, and this is the description of the project. And that's also basically what we're required to do for the federal government. Once we start spending the money, that outward facing spreadsheet will be on the landing page of our website, and we'll be updating it. And that's also a part of receiving the money, that there is, as much as possible, a contemporary documentation of how we're spending the money according to the law, but also according to public will, based on these plans. Some cities and towns are doing listening and prioritizing. I will be candid. I know that's new for me, but I feel like the city's participation in these public plans is incredible. And I think it's very well intended. And the data that we've been able to get out of those plans and the consultant and going back to the public is really substantial, and it's current. And we need to get to work to figure out how we're going to do all these things with the money. And so I would rather do long-term things, long-time, one-term things, or small spending to get us through COVID with, whether that's technology or a staff or whatnot. But, you know, the priority is really, you know, I see Greg still on the call, infrastructure, a lot of infrastructure that we have to do, some quality of life additions to different departments, to, you know, around social workers, upping IT and accessibility. So kind of a preview. I just wanted to get that on the record because the money has, it's been sitting there for, a month or so. But we have a while to spend it.
What's the grand total from all the sources that we don't have yet? What was that? Did you say 4.7 million?
Yep.
And that's from all various and sundry portions of the government.
That's
State
include
and
FEMA?
federal.
No, no, it does not. This is just American Rescue Act money.
Okay.
So there are three, they use a fancy word now, tranches. So there's, I didn't pick that word. There's the local money that comes right from us, right to us from the federal government.
Yeah.
There is, because we do not have a county government, we get the county money, our portion of county money.
Yep.
And then the third part is
Yeah.
that was given to the governor, and they're still trying to decide what they're doing with that.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I'm not, rush to spend it, because I don't want to start a project when we can go for a grant. Like
Right.
one of the things I'm waiting for is a recovery center. So they keep telling us that those grants are coming and the opioid lawsuit is going to settle. So I'm not, even though we needed that 10 years ago, I just want to spend the money, I just want to take advantage of the state money too.
Mhm.
And we don't know what that'll be.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Can we set the next meeting, Counselor Gomez?
Yes.
Just to have it on the books for September 29th at 5 p.m.
That works.
And if for whatever reason, if next week's meeting, there is no supplemental appropriations, I'm certain that the mayor has pretty much done everything and there's no more money that needs to be moved, then we can cancel it. But if
Sound
not,
good?
we'll have it on the books.
Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
are we good?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
We had a motion and a second. Councilor Conniff,
aye.
and I say aye. See you, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.